All right, I think I'm set up here. All right. All right, I'm going to be doing an episode for my Spotify podcast called Count Chocula Decrypted. I believe this is episode 9. This is a show where I like to kind of geek out about some of the comic books that I loved as a kid. Some of the rules of the stuff that I cover is it had to have happened during what is known as the Bronze Age of comic books, and I had to have purchased or had somebody else purchase the comic books off of the spinner rack, and that is the case of the comic books that I am going to be covering today. I got a lot of material to cover. These comic books that I am going over today are available in a collector's edition. You can get it in the high quality the hardcover or like a paperback version, which covers like 8 comic book issues from 1976. It's Avengers 150 to 153, or Avengers 150 to 156. It's Avengers Annual 6, which is the cover we're looking at right now. It's also Supervillain Team Up number 9, which is kind of weird. And there's kind of a crazy little publication mix up at Marvel that has to do with the Supervillain Team Up number 9, and I'll go over that as well, which caused me fits as a 7-year-old kid trying to find out what happens in the story. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We'll get back. You're probably saying, I thought you said it was the Private War of Doctor Doom. Why are we looking at the Avengers? And that's true. Normally, when you talk about Doctor Doom, you talk about the Fantastic Four. This is one of the few times that Doctor Doom and the Avengers actually tangled. So yeah, we'll get into that. But Doctor Doom isn't the main villain in this storyline. He's kind of the side villain. But one of the issues is called the Private War of Doctor Doom. We're going to be seeing art from the early stages of George Perez's career, which is a real treat. George Perez is one of the artists you can start to see his progression of improvement. And he was one of my favorite artists as a kid, and he still is. I mean, he's basically my number 2 favorite artist, comic book artist of all time. Anybody that's ever listened to any of these knows who my number 1 is, John Byrne. But so anyway, let's get into it. Like I said, the collector's edition of this covers Avengers 150 to 156, Avengers Annual King Size Annual number 6, and Supervillain Team Up number 9. For the sake of the length of this video, and just I don't want to go through all that material. Avengers 150, 151, and 152 kind of just plant a little bit of the backstory and the build up to the main story of this. So, but I just kind of love talking about these old issues. I've poured over these issues. I almost have all these panels memorized. But like I said, I'm going to be covering quickly 5 issues. I'm going to be covering Avengers Annual 6 that we're looking at right now, this great Jack Kirby cover. Jack Kirby had just returned to Marvel after leaving Marvel to go to DC, and then he came back. I believe he came back early 1976 to Marvel, had a run on Captain America. So we get to see some awesome Jack Kirby covers. I always prefer Jack Kirby covers over his interiors. That's just my personal preference. So let's get right into this. Let me go full screen if I can find it here. I think this is the right. I'm not used to doing this in video format. So yeah, here we go. So let's get it. Like I said, great Jack Kirby cover. You can always tell his iconic Captain America. So here we go. Like I said, Jerry Conway. We're gonna be having Jerry Conway as the writer, but you're also going to see George Perez art. You're going to see a little Sal Buscema art as well, and you're going to see an issue Jim Shooter, who became editor in chief. And you don't think of Jim Shooter as an artist. He really isn't. I think I think he's only done like four. He's only penciled four comic book issues in his life. So he's known for being the editor in chief of Marvel during the Bronze Age of Marvel. Well, basically 19. I think he started in 1979, and I think he was fired from Marvel in sometime 86 or 87, something like that. So here we go. We see Scarlet Witch busting through the wall, and she's injured. The Vision little coloring error there. The Vision's head is actually supposed to be green. That might just be the glow of the light, but you are already seeing George Perez. He's kind of known for giving a lot of detail of like debris. You'll see a lot of like whenever heroes crash through a wall or something like that. He always does a lot of the debris and everything. I guess there was a kind of a little in-house competition between him and John Byrne. They were competitive, by the way, during their runs at Marvel, and they were always trying to one-up each other, and they would see who could add like the most detail on debris. But you see Scarlet Witch kind of blasting in here, and she's injured. She's holding her arm, and there's a little bit of blood trickling down. In the previous issue, she was actually shot by a guard of the Brand Corporation in the arm. She was trying to retrieve the Serpent Crown. The Serpent Crown is kind of like old Marvel's version of the Infinity Stones. It was kind of one of those objects that the villains were always trying to get a hold of. It can control, whoever wears the Serpent Crown can control the minds of men, basically. So, and you'll see that later. Vision says, a Dr. Jarvis, call a physician immediately. Of course, you know, Vision and Scarlet Witch are married at this time in the comic books. Interesting note, you'll see a character here that has to do with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. You see Whizzer here is on the ground. The Whizzer was controlled by the living laser in Avengers 153, and he just wrecked Avengers Mansion and basically knocked out most of the Avengers while he was going on his little rampage. It's a great issue. It's in Avengers 153. They reference it down here. Says, look, you gents can stay. The Beast says, look, you gents can stay here and play What's My Line, but I'm going outside to search for Wonder Man. Wonder Man was just recently resurrected. He was originally created to be an Avengers villain, you know, created by Baron Zemo to destroy the Avengers, and he almost did. That was in I can't remember the exact issue that happened. It was back in the mid '60s. So, but he's been resurrected by a voodoo master called Black Talon. So, but he's missing, and he's kind of like a living zombie right now. So the Beast goes out to find Wonder Man. But the Whizzer is actually the adopted father of Wanda and the Scarlet Witch. They call her Wanda Frank at this point. She's not connected with Magneto at this point. They've kind of retconned that in. I think her origin story's been changed, but a number of times. But back in the 70s, Scarlet Witch, the story was that Scarlet Witch was the adopted daughter. Her and Quicksilver were the adopted children of Bob Frank, the Whizzer, who is a 1940s superhero. So he's old here. He was part of a team called the Liberty Legion. And as you can see, they do some flashbacks. This is the flashback of him being mind controlled by the Serpent Crown, the living laser having the Serpent Crown, and thrashing the Avengers here. Because they weren't expecting the attack. I mean, he's supposedly a friend, an ally. So, but you can see the flashbacks to the 1940s. Deadly foes I battled in World War II as a member of the All-Winner Squad. He was also on the Liberty Legion, but I think they've changed the name of that team. He was married to I think her name was Lady Liberty or something like that. I can't remember. But the entire reason why he showed up to Avengers Mansion before he was mind controlled was to report that his son, who was a victim of an atomic radiation accident, and the character's name is Nucleo, has been captured by the U.S. Army, and they're out there and headed west to California. So Cap and Iron Man jump on the Quinjet, go out there to try to tackle Nucleo, which had fought the Avengers before years ago, back when they had Thor in the lineup. By the way, this is one of my all-time favorite Avengers rosters that includes Yellow Jacket, Wasp, the Beast. I like and Wonder Man. Wonder Man and the Beast kind of form a little buddy. They have a little buddy cop dynamics going on. Okay, it was Miss America. I swear I saw my wife Madeline Joyce Miss America. I think I said Lady Liberty. I think that was somebody else. So Cap and Iron Man, here you're seeing some backstory about Nucleo, the Frank Project. You're seeing some backstory of how the United States Army was doing atomic tests on people. And he's not exactly happy. It said, but what happened to your son, Mr. Frank? Where is he? In California, Miss Pym, a prisoner of the U.S. Army. Now, little do they know that the U.S. Army is actually being controlled, like sections of the U.S. Army is actually being controlled right now by the living laser. Chapter 2, interlude. I have to go through this kind of fast. I've got a lot of storyline to go over. I think I'm doing 5 issues. That's a lot of stuff. And this is like a giant size issue. This was released in the summer of 1976, just for reference sake. So you see Wonder Man or Beast looking for Wonder Man, but Wonder Man's behind the corner here. They're going to have a little bit of a tussle here. I'm not hiding anywhere, you overgrown gorilla. I've been waiting in the shadows, unheard and unseen, and now I can wait no longer. Now, really, if Wonder Man hit him with full strength, that would probably knock, there's no probably about it, that would knock the Beast out. This fight's a little unrealistic on what happens, because the Beast has super strength, but nothing near the power of Wonder Man. Wonder Man is right on Thor level for strength. He's like a being of living energy. For hardly monster, for years I lived in darkness, unable to speak, unable to move. Then I was freed by the living laser, as shown in Avengers 153. So the living laser is mind controlling Simon Williams right now. And you'll always see anyone under control of the Serpent Crown kind of has a different way of speaking. He who I now call master. Yeah, Wonder Man normally doesn't talk this way. He who commands your death. Oh, my stars and garters. That's kind of the catchphrase of the Beast. I don't know why my world was dark for so long, and frankly, I don't care. All that matters is that I please my master, he who gave me life renewed. He's as powerful as the Avengers said he was years ago, powerful enough to turn this mutant beast into blue confetti. Once I've disposed of you, I can slay the others. Then I'll join my master in California, and together. So the Beast uses his momentum against him, and Wonder Man goes flying into the concrete wall. Actually, that probably wouldn't knock Wonder Man out, but for a story's sake, what are you going to do? So he grabs up. Normally, once they get knocked out, they're freed from the effects of the Serpent Crown. Now, this is this is some really cool panels coming up here. This is George Perez starts really flexing. I try to say his name right. It's actually Perez, but I always had the habit of calling him George Perez. So, what's your opinion, Cap? Should I land the Quinjet or try again for radio contact? They're here. As you can see, the Army with tanks is assembled. They must be on some sort of Army base or something going on here. You said it, Avenger. Let's go. Hold it, Iron Man. Those soldiers below, they're taking aim at us with their tanks. They're going to fire. This is another George Perez. This is also a staple of George Perez's repertoire. These lines that kind of depict emotion, like shock. You'll see it a lot in his Teen Titans run that he did in the early 80s when he left Marvel to go to DC. They're going to fire. Leap clear, Iron Man. And as you can see, they blow up the Quinjet. Tony Stark's got Quinjets in reserve, you know. I've got my jet boots, but Cap can't possibly survive this fall unless he gets some well-directed help, a blast of my repulsor rays, used like a billiard shot. This is a really cool. This is a really cool sequence, and this is kind of George Perez's little throwback, honoring Jack Kirby. He was a big Jack Kirby fan. He started out as an assistant to an artist named Rich Buckler, who is best known for doing some early 70s Fantastic Four work. Really great artist. But George Perez was kind of Rich Buckler's protege in the early 70s. He was like an assistant to Rich Buckler for a while, and then they recognized his talent for drawing, these action panels. So he went on to become bigger, more famous than Rich Buckler, and a big-time fan favorite. But you can see Cap, shoot 'em, move, you bums. He goes, bum, you move. Captain America is coming through. I love that panel when I was a kid. I loved Captain America anyway, but Captain America was always one of my favorite. I always preferred Captain America over Iron Man for some reason when I was younger. I liked Iron Man, but some of Cap's action poses were just, if you had the right artist, were just awesome. Captain America is coming through, and he just slams a bunch of soldiers. That's kind of an iconic Jack Kirby looking panel. And of course, the U.S. Army, this battalion or whatever, is not going to be any match for Iron Man or Captain America, no matter how mind controlled they are or whatever. Not even the tanks. But I love this panel here. George Perez, I love the way he depicts Iron Man's repulsor rays. A lot of different artists did it differently. Some of them had the repulsor ray coming from like a flattened hand, but he's supposed to have the little circles on his palms, in the middle of his hand, right above the palm, that is supposed to unleash the repulsor ray. But I like how in this panel where he puts his hands together and he forms like one bigger beam that just kind of like an area of effect that just knocks all the soldiers out. And then a tank approaches Iron Man. It's ironic, as Tony Stark, I once designed and built weapons like this for the government. But that was years ago. Times change, and apparently so do men. Maybe they don't realize that they're being controlled by the Serpent Crown. They do actually realize it, because Iron Man says down here, "Where is the Serpent Crown?" And apparently so do men, as he smashes the tank. Nice work, Shellhead. We just about mopped up this free-for-all. Now, if these soldiers are prepared to make peace, you call it, Avenger. We're ready for a ceasefire, and I guess it's time we explained. You've got a lot of explaining to do, soldier, so make it good. More important than that, Cap, where's the Serpent Crown? All those questions have one answer, gents. At this moment, he's right behind you. I love it. Too late, Avengers. Damn, they don't make comic books like this anymore. God, eh. And Cap and Iron Man are felled by some giant energy blast. This is George Perez once again using the Kirby Crackle, the famous Kirby Crackle style, to depict an awesome panel of energy bursting and like an area of effect and blowing Iron Man and Captain America, knocking them out. Like the man said, my friend, nice work. You caught them by surprise from the rear, exactly as we planned. We make a good team, you and I, my military genius and your all-consuming power. Don't ever forget that power, General Pollock. Always remember, you may be a renegade brigadier general, but oh boy. But I am the living laser. Now, the living laser as a villain normally doesn't talk like this. He's more of he talks much more like a straight level thug, but with the serpent crown, he's talking about he's talking like he's some sort of Doctor Doom-esque monarch or something. And mine is the head which wears the crown. Oh, what a great panel. What a great splash page here. You see, this is Bob Frank's son, Nucleo, right here. That's encased in this whatever that is, some kind of bubble, or it's like an energy siphon prison or something like that. And they go through some flashback of how he became Nucleo and how Living Laser got his powers. This is awesome. As you can see, Iron Man being carried in by the army. Cap's down here groggy. Nucleo, the wizard's son. We always wonder what happened to him. Now you know, Captain, he's our secret weapon, our key to victory against the United States. Now the Avengers come in. Here we are, the gloating panel of the of Living Laser. All that remained was the crown, and now it is too mine. What the frick? Hey, RCB, what's up? With the knowledge I am invincible, and here comes the beast and knocks the crown off of his head. Yo, dude. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I haven't talked to you in a long time. I'm just recording. I'm just recording for Spotify. What are we doing today? Reading the comics? Yeah, I'm just recording for Spotify. Some of my favorite comics from one of my favorite comic storylines from the 1970s that I read as a kid. Yeah, I'm old. So Beast knocks the serpent crown off of Living Laser's head, and the Vision retrieves it. Remember that panel there, because that has something to do with the opening of the next issue. And here we come. The Wonder Man is now released from the Serpent Crown's influence, and Beast, Wonder Man, and the Wasp come in. The Avengers come in to save the day. Still, one mistake need not cost me the war. I need only strike quickly before they rally. So now Jerry Conway, who writes this, writes some of these characters a little different, like their dialogue style, a little different than, say, like Jim Shooter did, like the year after this. Living Laser's much more of like a straight level punk. Not full on, but so he blasts Wonder Man. On your toes, Beast. The laser's blasting this way. Now here is an awesome panel from George Perez where he's got the louver effect on Iron Man's repulsor ray. I love that. That was always one of my all-time favorite panels from this issue, where he blasts Living Laser. There's only one guy I thought in comic books that drew Iron Man's repulsor effect cooler, and that's Michael Golden, which eventually I'm going to get around to covering a Michael Golden issue. In Avengers Annual number 10, he's got an awesome panel of Iron Man's. He has a much different style than George Perez, but he's got an awesome effect of Iron Man's repulsor rays with like energy crackles coming out of the his full on the holes in his armor here in the middle of his hand. But I love the louver effect here. And Wasp, Yellowjacket are attacking. Captain America's back up in the fight. But Nucleo lives again. Nucleo, they've released Nucleo. Now, what I don't really understand is, I guess it takes a little while for the effects of the serpent crown to wear off, because Living Laser doesn't have the serpent crown on his head anymore. But obviously, unless this general is just corrupt and evil, he's still under the effect of the serpent crown. Hear that, Avengers? That's your death knell. Nucleo obeys my every command, and this time my command is kill the Avengers, kill. Wait, fools, where you're going? The battle's just begun. If you desert me now, I'll cook you alive. Don't blame us, Buster. Look what's coming this way. Oh, heavens, no. And Nucleo comes to the wall and just knocks out most of the Avengers and knocks out the Living Laser. But they'll find out Nucleo here has no alliances, so he smacks the general. Looks like Nucleo thinks as unkindly of his benefactors as we do, gang, still judging by his expression. He doesn't like us either. Don't, Beast, you'll only anger him. Now you tell me. Cap, is this armor starting to warp my vision, or do you see what I see? I see it, Avenger, but in the name of sanity, I don't believe it. So Nucleo's power is growing, and he blasts up through the roof of whatever building they're in, the government building. So and he grabs Iron Man and kind of starts like an energy chain reaction here. Up, Beast. Iron Man's fighting alone, and we can't stand by and see him slaughtered. Cut the lecture, Cap. I'm just groggy, that's all. I love the Beast dialogue, man. I can listen to you read comics. That's pretty sick. Well, I got to go through. I got 4 more issues to cover. I love this storyline. I was a kid. I remember where I was the day I bought these off the spinner rack. So you release all this on Spotify. Yeah, I record an audio version as well. I haven't done it in like 7-8 months. I think this is my 9th episode or something. Normally, I don't like read from the comic books. I just talk comic books. But this one is one of my all-time favorites. So I had to this story arc, which continues on like in a totally different direction. But there's kind of like a weird publication mishap with Marvel back in this that I lived through it. Not many people, I think, even know about it. But I heard Rob Liefeld talk about it a couple years ago on his podcast, and I already knew about it because I lived it. I'll cover that in a little bit. So the Avengers are trying to come to here after being blasted by Nucleo. Now the army is the army is attacking them with the tanks. He'll continue to grow larger and more powerful until he becomes unbeatable. If that happens without Wanda to create a hex sphere, we'll be helpless, and Iron Man will die. I think he'll all die. And what's worse, he's building to a critical mass. Pretty soon, he's going to blow up and take most of Los Angeles with him. You can see, once again, George Perez doing the Kirby crackle effect here. This is another George Perez staple of having the pictures here. Jack Kirby it's another ode to Jack Kirby, actually. John Byrne and George Perez took a lot of influence from Jack Kirby. Cap, get out of here. My armor protects me, but nothing protects you. Run before we all explode. Not a chance. We begin this battle together, and that's how it's going to end. And the Yellow Jacket says, unless something happens fast, that ending may be sooner than we think. And then you see this dash, this effect from the speedster. We all know who that is if you've read this comic book. It's the Wizard, the father of Nucleo, going at full speed going to sacrifice himself. And he collides with Nucleo, and it creates an explosion. The Wizard. I told him to stay in New York, but he must have followed us when we tracked him here, Cap. And his super speed triggered Nucleo's critical mass, causing an implosion instead of an explosion. Perhaps he saved all of us and Los Angeles. Not to mention Shellhead. Think the Wizard survived? He seems to be breathing beast. Well, Cap, he's injured, but he and Nucleo are both alive. Avengers, it's time to go home. Okay, it says next, our story continues in Avengers 154. Avengers 154 is the very first comic book that I actually used my own money to purchase in mid-September in 1976. It wasn't really my own money. I had some birthday money. My birthday's in early September. So it says our story continues in Avengers 154, where we bring you more on the mysteries of Wonder Man, plus the mad menace of Atuma. Not a tumor, but Atuma. Well, Atuma is a warlord of Atlantis, and he is going to be, I don't know, he's not going to be featured in the new Wakanda Forever movie, but he is going to be, they are going to be having a little bit of the Atuma. I guess he's going to be introduced in the MCU. It's another reason why I'm doing this storyline, because let me get, before I finish that thought, let me get to the next issue that I am going to be going over, which is Avengers 154. Let me bring it up here. Let me bring up Avengers 154. There we go. Another great Jack Kirby cover. This is Atuma on the cover here. Awesome visual. It's a character created in the 1960s. Once again, not really a main Marvel villain like Doctor Doom or anything like that. I love the floating heads here. Another great Jack Kirby, kind of a Jack Kirby trope, if you want to say. And a lot of other artists kind of use that style as well. I think Gil Kane picked that up from Jack Kirby. But like I said, Jack Kirby had come back to Marvel in early 1976. It might have been late 75. He had come back from Marvel when he left. He didn't get along with Stan Lee. Eventually, they wouldn't give him. I miss these early comics. Oh, man. Dude, I love these comic books. This is why I only talk about Bronze Age Marvel comic books. The comic books today, with very few exceptions. Yeah, the paper is better. The color is brighter. The paper's slicker. The quality's better, but not the content. The content, no. The writers now are just, This is all my opinion, of course. But man, this is great. This is nothing to me. Bronze Age comic books are the gold standard of comic books. Yeah, the Silver Age stuff where Marvel came into prominence and all these characters were created is awesome and great, but I just think they took it to another level. What's weird is the sales were actually declining at this point in time, but that had nothing to do with the comic books. That had a lot to do with the economic stuff going on in the United States. I mean, people just didn't have the money for comic books. 30 cents was a big deal when I was a kid. If I could get my hands on 30 cents, my mom would go to the grocery store and I'd tag along and I'd want her to buy me, it's like, oh, you should have been able to buy, 4 or 5 comic books. No, my mom was hesitant to shell out 30 cents for a comic book. I mean, money was just, my mom and dad were middle class. They weren't hurting for money, but they didn't have a lot of extra money to be spending on my comic book addiction. So this is the very first comic book that I ever purchased myself with my own money that I got for my birthday. I didn't earn the money. I got it from my grandmother. I think my sister gave me $5. My grandma gave me $5, and I think my parents gave me $10. So I had like $20 when I was 7 years old, and I bought this. Now the cover date says December, but that's not right. This book came out in September of 1976. I had just turned 7 years old. My very first comic book that I ever had on my own, that I ever had my mom buy me, was Avengers 152, months before. But I had been reading Marvel comic books for about a year up to this point, which I've covered in one of my other episodes. But yeah, Avengers 154 was my very first one. I remember it going there. I had like $20. I was like, man, I'm set for my comic books. Of course, I bought some baseball cards eventually. But that $20 lasted me months. I spent it on some candy bars and, an ice cream cone at the ice cream shop or whatever. But $20 went a long way when I was a kid. It might have been $15. I can't exactly remember how much money I had, but I remember I had money. It was the first time my parents ever gave me a little bit of money instead of like toys when I was a kid. She was like, okay, when you go to the grocery, you can buy your own comic books. And I was like, no, I want you to still buy my comic books and I keep the money you gave me. But it didn't work out that way. So anyway, let's get into Avengers 154 here. The floating head thing on the cover, Jack Kirby, awesome covers. The Vision is in chains. So what happened? This is a direct continuation of what happened from last issue. So let's get into that's the big panel. And once again, we see Jerry Conway, writer, editor, George Perez, artist, storyteller. Now we've got a new inker here, though, and this is kind of one of the dream teams. You've got George Perez with the pencils, and you have Pablo Marcus, one of my all-time favorite inkers. They're not quite on the level of John Byrne, Terry Austin, dream team wise, but when these two get together, Pablo Marcus makes everyone look better. But you can tell when Perez is teamed with Pablo Marcus, that you can just tell the difference. It's just beautifully done. Now, the previous issue that I covered, his inker was another legendary inker, Mike Esposito, who's best known for inking 70s Spider-Man stuff with like Ross Andrew and Gil Kane and stuff like that. So artists like that. I should say stuff like that. But here we go. Perez, Marcos. And even at an early age, I started following the artists. Like if John Byrne did a book, that even if I wasn't that interested in the character, I would get it. I would try to get it if I had the money or if I could convince my mom to buy it for me. And the two guys that I followed the most were George Perez and John Byrne. If they did an issue, I tried to get it. That's why I wasn't the biggest Fantastic Four fan when I first started reading comic books. I liked it. I liked the team, but I liked the Avengers much better. But when Perez did the Fantastic Four, I would try to get those issues. And the same with the Avengers. So let's, as you can see, the Vision is dropping the Serpent Crown here in the Pacific Ocean, but we've got some sort of vessel coming before. I mean, I know it's an Atlantean warship, and he's dropping he says here, perhaps here beneath the indigo waves, the Serpent Crown will finally pass from the annals of mankind and no longer be a menace. Now, I don't know about dropping it in the Pacific Ocean will do the trick. And as we find out years down the road, that was retrieved by the Serpent Society and used. The Serpent Crown was used a lot in the Bronze Age. Kind of like the Infinity Stones were used a lot, like in the late 90s, 2000s for Marvel. So the Vision's being attacked here by an Atlantean warship. So, instead of just avoiding it, they can't hit him because the Vision flies in his ghost-like state. The Vision can alter his density, molecular density. That's one of his. He's a synthezoid. He's not an android. He's got part human. He's got human brain waves. He shares actually brain waves with Simon Williams, Wonder Man, and his gem on his head is not an Infinity Stone. That was simply put in place for the Marvel Cinematic Universe for story purposes. It's called a solar gem. That's how he collects his energy, and then he fires his blasts out of his eyes. His thermoscopic heat blasts come from his eyes. They don't come from his soul. This is how he collects his energy, solar energy. A lot of people don't know that. I'm referring to the panel in the middle there, where he's in his ghost-like state. So, all right, no, I gotta get going. I can't nerd out too much. So he comes in. It's a patrol cruiser of the Atlantean Empire. He just phases through the whole of the ship, and he's being attacked by these goons, these Atlantean goons. To my best of my knowledge, the Atlanteans are all in a state of suspended animation. I can't talk, which makes your assault all the more mysterious. Who are you, and why have you attacked me? Now, in Marvel Comics, Atlantis is divided into different regions, and some are evil. Like Namor the Submariner, who is going to be in the Wakanda Forever movie as well. And I'm not crazy about the early depictions of him. Why can't they ever stick with like the source material? I'm not going to judge it. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie. I'm not really that excited about seeing the movie. I will eventually watch it on Disney Plus, and I love this panel here, the middle panel here by George Perez, where he puts his hand right. That's one of the Vision's main attacks, is that he phases into your body and then slightly becomes tangible, and it just causes you undue agony and disrupts your entire being. Apparently, you still do not comprehend my power. Your prod can neither touch nor harm me, while I can do both to you. As we plan, Mako, I guess they're named after sharks, Mako has drawn the Avengers' attention, leaving me free to slip behind the android. He's not an android, he's a synthezoid, and strike. Come on, Jerry Conway, get your shit together. Whoever's writing this, intuition, the sixth sense, even an android can possess. A lot of people don't know, but the original 1940s Human Torch is the prototype body for the Vision. A lot of people don't know that. The original Human Torch in Marvel Comics, which wasn't Marvel Comics at the time, it was like Timely Comics. The original Human Torch that fought in World War II was an android. Too late, sonic waves, no way to escape. So they trapped him in you can see the Vision is downed here. If I don't get going, this episode's going to be way too long. You can see them coming back to Manhattan in the Quinjet. Wonder Man's holding the Wizard. They take him into medical care, and they kind of recap what happened in Giant Sized Avengers Annual number 6. But they still don't know what's going on with Wonder Man. Wonder Man had just recently been resurrected by that voodoo priest, Black Talon, in Avengers 152. So he's kind of a mystery. They don't really trust him. He was dead. Originally, he was designed to destroy the Avengers. He was created, not designed. Now, this is some cool stuff coming up here. I love Scarlet Witch anyway, especially when George Perez draws her. So as you can see, she was injured in Avengers 153. And she's walking in the Avengers Mansion courtyard here, and she sees an aircraft. It's coming this way. Jarvis, I like the fact that Jarvis isn't some kind of AI. Originally, Jarvis was just a butler. He's not I don't like him as an AI of Iron Man. That's one thing I didn't like about the Marvel Universe thing. I want Jarvis to be a real person. But of course, Jarvis the butler for Tony Stark, and they're thinking, well, that's just a copy off of Batman. They always use the excuse that somehow they're copying off of Batman. They did the same thing with the Moon Knight character, which wasn't the case at all. But anyway, let's get back to the main. Jarvis is right there with some sort of energy rifle. He's going to protect the Scarlet Witch. You should really step back, Miss Wanda. The hatch is opening and someone is climbing out. Of all the ridiculous Triton. Now, Triton is a member of the Inhumans and an ally, an ally to the Avengers. What on earth is an Inhuman doing in New York City? I come on a mission of great import, Avenger. I come to beg your help. The Inhumans are in deadly danger. You need us, the Avengers? Haven't you contacted the Fantastic Four? The Inhumans' first appearance was in the Fantastic Four, and they are more closely related, of course, to the Fantastic Four. They battle them, they team up with them. But you can see here in this panel, this side panel, things may not be what they seem, because there's some shadowy figures here, mysterious figures in the craft. The fate of the world hangs in the balance, and these two mysterious figures in the craft looking out says, indeed it does. Oh, yes, indeed. So right there you can tell something's not on the up and up. The Vision comes to here only to find himself chained. Correct, Avengers, chained like the correct Avenger, chained like the slave you are. You couldn't say that in today's comic books. Oh, don't get me started. Okay, and you should see this contraption here. The Vision's cape is gone, and he's been suited up with some kind of contraption that restrains his powers. What the fuck did you just say? Oh my god! Oh no! They have reported there's a black guy in the chat. He didn't like slave. Hey, I didn't write this stuff, all right? I mean, cancel Jerry Conway, the creator of The Punisher, who can't have that character anymore either. So as you can, I get serious again. I'm sorry. I got to get going. How you doing, Phil? What's up? I am recording this for the audio version for Spotify, and I'm doing the video, so it's gonna be some silly shit in here. I just like reading comic books and talking about comic books. I can do it all day. My voice won't hold out though. I can barely breathe. So as you can see here, some more Kirby Crackle stuff from George Perez. Another George Perez staple is having the center circle panel in the middle, kind of breaking the flow. It just kind of every once in a while he'll throw a different kind of panel sequence at you that really helps kind of break the monotony of just basic panel flow in comic books. I mean, he's not the only one that ever did it, but he was one of the first guys that I ever had seen do that kind of thing. But as you can see, he doesn't break the panel borders, which became a big thing of breaking the panel borders. But that didn't really start happening a lot until the 90s with some of the independent guys, the guys that broke out of the big two. I can't possibly talk about all this stuff and get through these issues. Okay. This is a big time Kirby influence panel down here in the bottom right. So they, like I said, he tries to use his powers, kind of the contraption, the slave. They call this the slave collar. Believe it or not, it's going to be in the next issues. And we have introduced here Atuma. Atuma will be in the Wakanda Forever movie coming up. They won't have him looking this cool. But this is some badass character design, in my opinion. And he's also wearing Vision's cape. He's taken Vision's cape. Atuma, like I said, originally, I can't remember the issue where he first appeared, but what he did appear in the Avengers in the 1960s, sometime in the mid-60s. He's fought other guys as well. I believe he was in the Fantastic Four couple of Fantastic Four issues as well. But because you must be completely broken, you represent heroic humanity in the most ironic, in a way most ironic. And because you do, you must be broken completely and subjected to total humiliation. I love it. I love evil for the sake of evil. I don't like all of this. I don't like every single villain being its gray area. I love evil for the sake of evil. And that's Bronze Age comic books, man. A lot of them. You can only destroy my body, Atlantean, not my will. That's what you think, Vision. We have ways and ways, methods of which only madmen dream. I love it. They don't write comic books like this anymore. And they certainly don't have that kind of dialogue in the movies. In the movies, So he's kind of doing some backstory where his arch nemesis, Submariner, and I love Namor Submariner's suit here. Revenge against Namor the Submariner, who brought me to such a crushing defeat when last we fought upon the floating island known as the Hydro Base. Supervillain team up number 3 since Fantastic Four number 33. Supervillain team up was a comic book in the 70s that featured Namor Submariner. Even though he's not really a villain, he's one of the oldest Marvel characters. But he was actually created a few years before Aquaman. What are things encasing his hands were what drew inspiration for the Captain Marvel movie to stop her from using her powers as well? That's a good point. I never thought about it because I don't think about the Captain Marvel movie that much, or I've never dissected like details from it. But you'll see more of this. You'll see more of the slave collar in the next issue. Which we won't be doing an Avengers issue next issue. We'll be sidetracking. The storyline got screwed up publication-wise. And I'll cover that next issue. But you can see the Namor fighting. This is all back. This is all remembering back. Namor's fought the Avengers. That's right, Avengers. I said we, for it will be you and your comrades who will battle for me against Namor. So his whole goal is to capture the Avengers and enslave them and control them so he will destroy Namor. Well, this storyline is called The Private War of Doctor Doom. Where is that? You'll see that comes in here soon. And he who calls himself the Avenging Son, you will battle Namor as a decoy while I pursue my true goal elsewhere. Either the Avengers will smash the Submariner or Namor will smash you. Yet whoever the victor may be, Atuma alone will stand truly triumphant. For when the battle ends, Atuma will claim the world. Well, there might be another guy that has some issue with that. So we're back to the Avengers Mansion here, and Triton is standing there, vigilant behind Scarlet Witch, but we know something's not right. So how does Scarlet Witch know what's up? Whoa, that's zooming in too much there. And the Quinjet radio seems to be malfunctioning. She's trying to communicate with the other Avengers. According to Iron Man, the jet they're using is a backup craft because our regular flyer was blown up in the last issue that I covered. Why not send your brother Pietro, who is Quicksilver, to find them, Wanda? Surely Quicksilver can. Pietro? But he's with... Suddenly she knows. You're not Triton. You're an imposter because Quicksilver is in the Inhumans now. Quicksilver lives on Attila, I pronounced it wrong. That the base that the Inhumans live in the Himalayan mountains during this time, which has the energy field that no one can get in. They're kind of trapped from humanity in their own making, their own little fortress. Kind of like, it's a little like Wakanda. But this is secluded in the Himalayan mountains. And she does now. She's only got one arm because her other arm is in a sling because she got shot. It's called a hex spear. And with a wounded Wanda, it's a hex hemisphere. That's pretty good. I like that writing there. And what it is, an expanding bubble of sheer magic. It hits the imposter like a summer thunderstorm, smashing a thick green exoskeleton, revealing the enemy within. And this is the character I drew a couple weeks ago. This is, you'll see. How did you guess? My disguise was flawless, my preparation absolute. Of all the spies in Atuma's horde, Tyrak the Treacherous is by far supreme. He's not a very well-known villain. One of my all-time favorite Avengers villains. Right behind Count Nefaria. But, so she blows off the disguise, and there is Tyrak. He's Atuma's right-hand man. He's Atuma's lieutenant, basically, his muscle. Like, Atuma is strong, but he's an Atlantean. He has super strength, but it's not anywhere near like Namor. He's just more like a warlord, kind of evil warlord, madman. That may be Tyrak, but and this is the first appearance of Tyrak, by the way. This is the first appearance of Tyrak in comic books. That may be Tyrak, but it says little for your colleagues. You see, Atlantean, whatever your reasoning for coming here, your preparation wasn't absolute. Impossible, but true. It's real. But true. The real Triton wouldn't have asked for my brother Pietro, because Pietro has been living with the Inhumans for the past 2 years. You were sloppy, Tyrak. Yeah, Pietro actually married one of the Inhumans named Crystal, which the Fantastic Four Human Torch was in love with Crystal, and it like broke Johnny Storm's heart that Crystal married Quicksilver instead of him. They had a big storyline in like the late 60s about it, early 70s. I must keep talking to try to distract him. My wounded arm has split my powers in half. I said sloppy. I heard you, woman. I heard you. I love that. Where Tyrak uses his claws. Now, Tyrak has tremendous super strength. He's not Thor level super strength, but he's close. He's right on par with Wonder Man. Almost said Wonder Woman. And here comes Jarvis to the rescue. He hears the commotion, and the Scarlet Witch is cornered. It's hopeless. Tyrak has me cornered, and I'm still too weak to fight him effectively. If only the Vision were here. The Vision against Tyrak is a good fight. I might eventually show that issue down the road where Tyrak fights the Avengers again a couple years after this, and the Vision is not happy for for the assault on Scarlet Witch, and you see the Vision kind of at his full might against Tyrak. Run, Miss Wanda. He's like, you insignificant fool. They don't write comic books like this anymore. Oh my God. Oh no. Why are you doing this? Why have you attacked us? Why? For the simplest reason possible, woman. Because I have been ordered to do so by my commander-in-chief, Atuma, first warlord of Atlantis. Sleep spray will keep you silent and unresisting while I seek out your friends. Once I found him, my mission will be over. And I will return to the ocean depths I adore. Avengers assemble. Here come the Avengers, smashing through the big plate glass window of the Avengers mansion. Or to put it another way, here comes the cavalry. Yeah, we'll see. We got Iron Man, Captain America, and Beast crashing through. The Avengers, so the Scarlet Witch lied. She was in contact with you all along. Nope. Me and my buddies split up earlier today, each to do our own thing. Some staying at the hospital like Wonder Man, and others heading home like Shellhead. But you see, we all plan to regroup for a news update here at the mansion. And when we arrive, guess what we found? Mean old you. Forget Wanda, friend. You've got problems of your own. Iron Man is the leader of the Avengers right now. It used to be Captain America, and they kind of had they got along, but there was always some tension between them. Like, he always thought, see, they don't know that Iron Man is Tony Stark. none of the Avengers know Iron Man's Tony Stark at this time in comic books. And I always liked it that way because he was always Tony Stark's bodyguard. So that was a well kept secret. Jarvis knew. Jarvis, the butler, knew, but he kept it under wraps for the sake of the story because it made for a more interesting storylines that they would like bash Tony Stark in front of Iron Man. They would like give their true feelings about some of the stuff Tony Stark did right in front of Iron Man, and he had to take it, So it opened up some possibilities for some stories. When you let everything out of the bag, it crushes a lot of the good stuff that can be written. So Captain America throws his shield. I love this panel. Imbeciles, my ocean-born strength and agility far exceed your puny human skills. Fighting you is child's play. I love it. He wouldn't be saying that if Thor were there, but incredible, he caught my shield as though it were a frisbee. Iron Man, be careful. Against this third-rate hoodlum, don't make me laugh. I mean, we've got two different opposing viewpoints of how this battle's going to go. Though you face Tyrak the treacherous. My seabred strength and speed have been increased by a tomb of scientists. There you go. I can crush you with ease. Fat chance. More George Perez repulsor goodness. I love the way he has the louver effect on the repulsors. I just love the way George Perez depicts energy blasts. He's like Jack Kirby. He takes it to kind of, in my opinion, because I like George Perez's style. It's a slicker style than it's kind of like it's Jack Kirby with a much more polished look, not a blocky look. Just my opinion. The Jack Kirby purists are like, oh, how can you say that? I mean, Jack Kirby is the number one all-time influential artist in comic books. There's no doubt. He's the number one world builder when it comes to comic books. But he's not. His style isn't my favorite comic book style. Let's go on to the next page here. My armor gives me repulsor rays and jet boots. It gives me all the force I need. Look at that panel. Ah, man. Tyrak just reaches up and crushes his power pack. My power pack, without energy to animate its micro-miniaturized servo motors, Iron Man's armor abruptly goes dead. And I love the cracks and some of the cracks that came up to like the helmet right there. And like a man felled by an axe, the Golden Avenger drops. With Wanda and Iron Man down and the Vision still absent, we're at almost half our fighting strength. This is the Wasp attacking here. I wish Thor were here, but he's not. You see that a lot in the 70s. Thor had an ongoing storyline where he'd just kind of appear out of nowhere and kind of save their asses from time to time. But he wasn't ever a mainstay. After Avengers issue 150, they kind of revamped the team. And they started this ongoing year-long storyline where it was kind of a mystery of what was happening to Thor. He would just disappear and then reappear, and he had no memory of where he was. But we've got to go on no matter what we must. And Yellow Jacket, of course, who is Ant-Man, Hank Pym. Not the Scott, oh my God, I can't believe. Scott Lang, the Scott Lang Ant-Man. Scott Lang Ant-Man didn't come around until late 1979 in comic books. George Perez was the first guy to draw him, though. There's a little thing. He was created by David Michelinie, but I'm spitting all over the place. I need some coffee. Let me reach her. Lord, let me reach her in time. Wonder Man's not here either. That would change the dynamics of this fight. Done. All but two of the vaunted Avengers have fallen beneath the power of Tyrak, and he uses his sleep spray to knock them out. Mister, you can take your sea chauvinism and shove it right up your sargasso. I didn't know what that meant when I was a kid, but I thought it was funny, and I love the panel. You know, you have some of Jerry Conway's writing is really over the top, but I mean, I love it. It's comic book, it's supposed to be that way. I love I love the way they write Thor. I can't stand the MCU version of Thor. I just don't like it. I like Thor Shakespearean. That's the way they wrote the character. And they wrote Captain America kind of verbose as well. He would speak like this. He's much more of like a throwback, conservative type, patriotic, but he's anti-government. We got to remember that. I mean, in a certain way, he's not totally, he's not an anarchist or anything, but this is, they delved into that storyline a lot in Captain America comic books in the 70s. This is Captain America fighting now, and to put it mildly, I'm mad. I like this next panel with Tyrak. I didn't rehearse any of this. I haven't read, I know these panels. I've read this comic book 100 times when I was a kid. All of these comic books. I know this dialogue and these panels. Well, you're going to get up. Have you lost your nerve? Hardly. Atuma orders you and your comrades captured. I obey my master. But since your combative skill obviously outclasses my own, I must resort to other less direct methods. Cappy's bringing the wall down. Run! And I love, there's George Perez's rubble. He's known for the detail on his rubble coming down. Oh, my stars and garters. That's just what the Wizard did 2 days ago. The Wizard defeated the Avengers by bringing down the walls of the Avengers mansion on top of them. Because I know, Beast, we observed that battle on my master's Omni screen. Avengers 153. Last issue. Was my statement unclear? The Avengers have been watched continuously for weeks while Atuma conceived his awesome plan. Tyrak the treacherous cannot fail. The Beast is out. The Beast knows when he's licked. He's not going to. I love the way they used to do the Beast, man. And I love the Beast in the Avengers much more than the X-Men. When Giant Sized X-Men came, when they revamped the X-Men in the mid-70s, when it was going to be canceled, the book was in the down in sales. It was bi-monthly. It was only 6 issues a year. They got rid of the Beast, Iceman, Angel, and revamped the team. They kind of resurrected Jean Grey to the Phoenix. Cyclops was the only original member to stay with the new team. And, of course, the book exploded in popularity a couple of years after that. But thanks to Chris Claremont, John Byrne. But the Beast going to the Avengers was a brilliant move by the writers of Marvel because he's such a wonderful character. And he just makes for, he breaks up kind of the monotony of how the other characters talk all the time. You know what I mean? He's always cracking jokes. He's kind of like the Spider-Man, kind of like Spider-Man of the Avengers. You got to have that throwing in the humor. Not even Hawkeye at the time, who was kind of a smart ass. They didn't write him as humorous as the Beast. He goes, "You won't get an argument from me, Blue Bod." That's ironic. This is one merry mutant who's getting out of here, and they laugh while the Beast takes off. And now they're kind of spilling the plan here. Shall we prepare for the prisoner for transport, or you prefer to search the mansion for weapons? We have no need for weapons, fool. Not now. As a Tuma plan, the Avengers themselves will be our weapon. So, and Tyrak will stand beside him. So right here, as a kid, this threw me for a loop because I bought this comic book mid-September. And I think it was, or late September is when I bought this comic book, Avengers 154. I think it came out, the actual publication came out, it was the last week of September, I believe. Why am I talking about this? Next, our story continues in Supervillain Team Up number 9. And when I read this as a kid, it says on sale now. Yeah, it was on sale, and it's supposed to be part 2 of this storyline. It was actually on sale 3 weeks before this came out. Well, I had never seen an issue of Marvel Supervillain Team Up. Distribution in those days was spotty at best in your grocery store. There were months where they would skip. I'd go to the grocery store and they didn't have the next issue. It was spotty. But there were some grocery stores that had magazine racks that would keep a year's worth of comic books on the magazine rack. And you could only hope that some lazy person working at the grocery store they were too lazy, or they were told to keep those comic books out there. Because here's a fact about comic book distribution in the 70s, like newsstand distribution. That's basically what the grocery stores were newsstand distribution. It wasn't direct market. In direct market, what the retailers buy is they're stuck with it. If they don't sell it, they're stuck with it. That wasn't the case in the 70s. In the 70s, if a grocery store chain or a newsstand, say they bought 50 issues of a comic book and they only sold 30, they could rip the covers off. They could take the covers off, mail them back to Marvel, and they would get credit for 20 books. That was not just Marvel, that was comic books. And that actually was the case. The direct market changed all that. And the direct market didn't really start until the 1980s. The first direct market comic book that I remember was Moon Knight. That's the first direct comic book. When I started buying Moon Knight, I only saw it I never saw it on a spinner rack. I saw it at the actual comic book stores that were starting to spring up. At the time that I bought this, I had never seen a comic book store. I'm not 100% in the area around Indiana where I live. There were no dedicated comic book stores. You had to go to the grocery store or the drug store or whatever and hope that the distribution was there. So Supervillain Team Up number 9 had already been out, the part 2 of this story, for 3 weeks. Well, I didn't know that. So let me get on. Let me just show you instead of talking about it. Yeah, it says right here, Avengers Assemble I love how they keep I loved reading these as a kid because you could find out, it's not like the internet where you can find out something immediate. You had to, what they're talking about here is Avengers 150, which was months and months ago. This is the old school where to find out something that happened took months. I mean, and it was terrible. I mean, if the internet was around when I was a kid, oh my God, man. Be sure to follow the second part of the 3-part extravaganza. It's actually 4 parts in Supervillain Team Up number 9. And don't miss the exciting earth-shattering conclusion right here next month when Wonder Man, the Beast, and Wizard joins forces to fight the awesome wrath of the dynamic Submariner. So you're going to see some of that. But this is a mistake. If you include Supervillain Team Up number 9, it's a 4-part series. And part 2 had already been out for 3 weeks, and it took me months to find it. So let's get on to I gotta find it here. I've got it bookmarked. Supervillain Team Up number 9. I remember the day I finally bought this. Now I'm screwed up here. Let's hit read now and get this going here. Supervillain Team Up number 9. Surrender Iron Man or die with the others. I love this cover. This is Gil Kane. This is a Gil Kane cover. The Avengers have fallen here at the feet of Dr. Doom. You see this a lot in the 70s Avengers. The Avengers defeated. You don't see that stuff anymore. Comic book covers today are just like poses of the character. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the comic book. I freaking hate it. I absolutely despise today's comic book covers. Show something. I love the dialogue on the cover. I mean, come on. And you see the Avengers down here. I mean, today you would just see like a pose of Iron Man or something, and they're like, oh, this is, look how beautiful the picture is. But there's no storytelling of the visual. The visual's got to tell story. You got to set up the story. These people running, don't get me started. Get in. All right. Like I said, this says December of 1976 on the cover, but that's not true. This came out the first week of September in 1976, and I totally missed it. Never saw it. I didn't end up picking this up as a kid until December, until actual December, where I still had a trace of my money. Might have been late November. I can't remember exactly, but I still had a little bit of my comic book money, and I remember the day I saw this issue because I'm sitting there going, I never knew what happened part 2. I never knew. When we go to Avengers 155, when we get there, you'll see a totally different sequence of the story, and I'm like, how did that happen? And I always wondered what happened. Well, unfortunately, this issue, the art takes a hit, and there's a reason for it. So let's get into the art isn't nearly as good as George Perez. George Perez didn't draw this, unfortunately. This was drawn by soon-to-be editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, Jim Shooter, who has only drawn 4 comic books in his entire career. As far as I know, he drew 2 issues of Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man in the early 80s, and I think he drew an issue of Ghost Rider. And it's got to be loose storyboard, and Sal Trappiani is the finisher here. So, and as you can see right away, the art style is much different. And we also have a different writer. This is Bill Mantlo, not Jerry Conway, that's writing this issue. So this is my first experience with a Marvel crossover issue. I'd never seen like a continuation of a story in a different issue. But I'm new to comic books here. I've only been reading comic books about a year and a half at this point. So we see Pawns of Atuma, and we fast forward into the episode or into the issues a little bit, or into the storyline a little bit. The slave collars are already on the captured Avengers. The Vision still doesn't have his cape. But as you can see, the art, this isn't George Perez, but it says, you've got Atuma here saying the domination of the earth is this is too rich a jest. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. No Pilgrims. You haven't missed an issue of Supervillain Team Up. And this issue's cover hasn't been stapled onto a copy of Avengers by mistake. The real Doctor Doom is still on the Hydra base, while the Submariner and the mysterious Shroud, which doesn't tie into the Shroud storyline, doesn't tie into this Avengers Private War of Doctor Doom Avengers storyline. That makes any sense. A lot has happened since last issue. Check out Avengers 154. That will involve not only our 2 Monarchs of Menace, but the Mighty Avengers as well. Will involve. So they realize that this is out of order, that they've, and they kind of acknowledge this later as well. Check out Avengers 154. Avengers 154 won't be released for 3 more weeks. So it's a Marvel mix-up. It's a publication deadline mix-up where Supervillains Team Up number 9, Supervillain Team Up number 9's publication schedule is ahead of the Avengers. But they had to tell a story. They wanted to try to pump up the sales of Supervillain Team Up, which didn't last very long. I think it's 20 issues or something, and the sales just weren't there. But Supervillain Team Up is Doctor Doom and either the Submariner or the Red Skull, whatever, Hate Monger. They threw some different villains in there every once in a while. This is the only issue that I ever bought of Supervillain Team Up. Just kind of wasn't my thing. Bill Mantlo's a good writer, though. He's best known for his run on the Micronauts. And he did some Hulk. He was kind of a journeyman writer. He also did ROM, the Space Knight. He was kind of in charge of writing their licensed material, whether it be Godzilla, Micronauts, ROM. I already said ROM, but he also did a run on the Hulk. He did it at one point in time. He's probably done every character, like a small little run of writing a character. It's kind of, but later on, he would quit the comic industry to become a lawyer, and then he got paralyzed in a biking accident. It's just a little Bill Mantlo backstory. But one of the mainstay, kind of a fill-in writer, but he was a respectable writer for Marvel in the 70s and 80s. I am going way too long. Okay. There it is, Cap, Hydro Base. I'm gonna pour through this issue real quick. The slave callers are not only controlling them, but it's also inhibiting their power. They're trying and break away, Shellhead, but it's not allowing them. They can't get out of Atuma's grasp. And Cap lands safely. Iron Man takes a big hit here. And the Avengers are at the mercy of Atuma. As you can see, the detail is not there on the art. The art is much more generic, not as exciting as it's more of a basic art style. Just more of a rough design than George Perez, who has a lot of detail, in his action sequences with energy crackling and debris and everything. And I'm going to skip over some of this because this has nothing to do. But it is, we see the Submariner. I'm not going to get into the storyline of supervillain team-up. I've read all of these supervillain team-ups. I never owned them, but I've read them. This is actually a Doctor Doom imposter. It's not the true Doctor Doom. And as you can see, Submariner, then Doom is not dead. You did not lie, Shroud. I am free of my oath, binding him to Doom's service in order to protect his fellow Atlanteans. Basically, Namor the Submariner made a pact with Doctor Doom, but he thought it was the real Doctor Doom, not this imposter Doctor Doom. There's a lot of supervillain team-up backstory here that doesn't really matter. I'm not going to cover it. So as you can see, the Submariner, but not today. Doom's death releases me from my oath, and my people need me. I will serve the surface men no longer. And Submariner is out. So we fast forward here as Doctor Doom's playing a little chess game here with his plans with the Submariner. He's kind of controlling Namor's allies here because he is, he's made a pact with Submariner to protect his, the citizens of Atlantean. I love this. Serve me, woman, arrogant pig. If Namorita, who is the cousin, not the sister, they make a mistake later. Namorita is the cousin of Submariner. If Namorita hadn't ordered him kept alive, but she says only Doom can find a cure to return us to normal. Doom, you've had enough time. We have turned all of our scientific facilities over to you, and you have produced nothing. Sounds like Dr. Fauci. Sorry. I think the good doctor takes us for fools, Tamara. Tamara is an Atlantean, but she's a different race of Atlantean. Like, some of this won't make any sense as far as the Avengers storyline goes. But we know that the Avengers have been captured to destroy Namor the Submariner. Well, they think he's here. This is the Hydro base, and the Avengers think Submariner's here. By Neptune, my arm. Namorita, Tamara, we are attacked. Ah, that would be my elite bodyguard. They have tracked me here at last. Steed of Triton. It's the Avengers. And you see Iron Man and Yellow Jacket. Vision breaking through the wall. Not nearly as dynamic or visually appealing as George Perez. Not even close. You can see Captain America and Scarlet Witch behind and like shadowed out. The Avengers, you fools have not your own the Avengers, you fools, has not your own Secretary of State informed you of your non-aggression pact between myself and your country? Supervillain team up number 6. You committed an illegal act in attacking me. I find that hard to believe, Doom, But even if it were true, we're not here to fight you, but the Submariner. Hand him over, Doom. Now, the Avengers aren't fighting at full capacity with the slave collars on because they're resisting them. As you can see, Doom has a force field. They're attacking Doom. Tamara smokes the Scarlet Witch. She's down. She's got super strength. So does Submariner's cousin. Not near the strength of Namor, but she is down. But that one, his skin is the same hue as mine. Can it be? Tamara's race was destroyed in Submariner number 56. You're going way back. You should keep your mind on your job at hand, Red. So Yellow Jack and the Wasp are in the fight. They get taken down. The mighty Avengers, this is Dr. Doom speaking. And you are sheep to be driven before the might of doom. The slave collars prevent me from aiding the others, even Wanda. But perhaps his commands can be met if doom were not to be disrupted. You are the Vision, are you not? The android that considers itself a man with the ability to alter his molecular structure. Fool of a robot. So Dr. Doom activates his force field here and it goes through the Vision and disrupts him. Doom, we're not here to battle you. It's Namor we want. And Namor's cousin smokes Captain America. Not nearly as visually appealing and as exciting as I loved it as a kid, though, because when I finally got my hands on this, the story of how I got my hands on this book was a couple months after Avengers 154. I think it was early December. My sister, not my sister, but my mom was going to the drugstore, the Ross drugstore, and I went along with her. It was like 8 o'clock at night. I remember the day. I remember it vividly. I walked in and I went over to the magazine rack. I went over to the spinner rack. I couldn't find Supervillain Team Up number 9. Had no idea, but I did see Supervillain Team Up number 10 on the rack. Supervillain Team Up number 9 was on the magazine rack. Was on the magazine rack, and my mom would not buy it for me. And so I didn't have any of my money with me. So I hid the book. I stashed it on the magazine rack because every once in a while they would have back issues. They would take them from the spinner rack and just put them on the magazine rack. So you could find every once in a while. Now, it wasn't a surefire way of finding the books. So I hid the issue behind another. And then my mom went to the grocery store a couple days later, and I came and I bought it. It was still there. A copy. I think it had a big crease in it. I remember it had like a corner crease. But because a lot of the time the condition of these books off the spinner rack were terrible. But I didn't really care about condition at the point. I wanted to read the stories. I wasn't like a collector. I was more of a consumer. So Dr. Doom's battling Iron Man. He smashes Doom through the wall. He thinks he's like killed Doom, but that's not going to happen. Doom is not dead. It is sad that the same cannot be said for you. Well, Iron Man's not dead either. Now you see the Beast, who fled the scene from Tyrak, coming in to try to get Wonder Man, recruit Wonder Man, and the Wizard is recovering from that episode he had with when he collided with Nucleo in the first Avengers Annual 6 that I covered, the first issue. Fat chance, Wizard. Did you forget you're in the hospital? You just had a heart attack, mister. I know that, Wonder Man. Avengers 154. Yeah, in Avengers 154, he ended up having a heart attack after the battle with Nucleo. So the Quinjet is right there, kind of sloppily drawn here. I mean, just basic shapes. And they have it on hover mode, and they get out of the hospital, and they're off to try to find the Avengers. Now we have some Russian planes here. Comrade, you see what I see? Da, comrade, it is on the radar as well. We were warned to expect anything on the Latvian border patrol. Latveria, of course, Dr. Doom's country that he's the monarch of. Why they can't get that right in the movies, I have no idea. They don't even really tap into that in the movies. They briefly reference it in the original Fantastic Four movie at the end. As you can see, Submariner here, he doesn't really like being attacked by these Russian MiG fighters. So the Submariner, Lenin's ghost, Dmitri has shoot it down. But where is the sub here, pilot? No, it's impossible. Nothing is impossible for the Prince of Blood, surface man. Now you will explain why I was fired upon, or you will die. I was on full alert. Our intelligence warned us to be ready for the command ship of the being called Atuma. Atuma, by Poseidon's beard. What is he to do with this? Reports say he's after a special weapon housed at a Maryland research center. With it, he will be invincible. So they're kind of spilling what Atuma's basic plan is. His first plan was to capture the Avengers, which he did, put the slave collars, and to hunt down Submariner. Then again, must Namor seek the battle through without Doom's serum. My time again grows short. For if the surface world provides Atuma with the weapons he desires, then Atlantis will be the first to fall. Find out in the pages of the Avengers 155 on sale October 19th. Directly a month after, even though the cover date will say 1977 January, the actual publication date, the actual shipping date, I shouldn't say publication date, the shipping date was October 19th. So that's Supervillain Team Up number 9 that kind of fills in the story. Not near as good as the Avengers issues, but you get kind of the little fill in. And it took me months to get this issue as a kid, and it drove me nuts. So let's move on to actual part 3. That's Supervillain Team Up number 10. We're not going to worry about that. Avengers 155. Another great Jack Kirby. And we're back to Jerry Conway and George Perez goodness here. What I like to see. And as you can see, Dr. Doom on the cover here. Captain America and Iron Man are prisoners of Dr. Doom. No one can stand against Prince Namor, the Submariner. He's blasting Wonder Man on the cover. No one except us. Fight, you fools, for while you do, Victor Von Doom will destroy you all. I love it. So here we go. This is the panel. I mean, I bought this issue right off the spinner rack in October when it came out with my own money. And this was the next scene that I was missing out with Supervillain Team Up number 9 for so long. And then I was so happy to be able to fill in that second part that eluded me for months. 13 years ago this month, the mighty Avengers first battled Prince Namor, the Savage Submariner, to stand alone. We have Jerry Conway, George Perez, and Pablo Marcus, one of the dream teams. Department of Silly Questions. No, you haven't missed an Avengers issue, faithful one. But if you want an explanation, you'll need to turn the page. From here on, things gonna move pretty fast. And as you can see, this is a different style of art, much more detailed. You see the energy crackling from the last issue of where from Dr. Doom fell to Iron Man with the energy blast. So this is a continuation of that fight that was depicted. And we're going to pick up round 2 of that fight, as only George Perez can do, with another one of his little signature styles of having these middle panels kind of do the flashback of what happened while the action goes on the main page. Put these panels here. This depicted the goings on of Avengers 154. They didn't cover. It doesn't show anything about Supervillain Team Up number 9 of what happened. So this is round 2 of the battle. and the Avengers start turning the tide. They still have their slave collars. You can see the Vision still doesn't have his cape, Atuma. But now we see Doom puts his force field up, and the Avengers apparent Avengers comeback is thwarted here. Captain America gets blasted. This Atlantean blast the Vision. Yellow Jacket gets it. Scarlet Witch gets smacked down again by Tamara, and Namorita catches Yellow Jacket and the Wasp in her clutches there, and the Avengers are defeated once again, but they're under the hindrance of the slave collar. This was coming up as an awesome sequence that I loved as a kid. You can see Doom is talking about they're showing Namor speeding this way. Namor, but as the view screen shows, Doctor, my cousin is miles away. Don't you see, girl? The Avengers came here to find Namor for whatever reason. Thus, because of Namor, they are now prisoners of Doctor Doom. You there, place the good captain in the restraining harness. I have questions. So he hooks up a little mind scanner thing here or whatever it is, and he reveals that Atuma is the one that has put the slave collars on him and has concocted this scheme of destroying the Submariner. You're the only man alive next to Namor who can stop Atuma once he's on a rampage. And if you don't stop him, he will destroy Hydro Base. And then you. We'll see, girl. Perhaps I shall help you. Perhaps I shall. Uh-oh. Yeah. Doom cannot be trusted. All right. So the Bob Frank, the Wizard, Wonder Man, Beast are flying, trying to meet up with their Avengers allies. Bob Frank has returned from a retirement, and I've returned from the dead. What? Care to explain that statement, Wonder Man? And they have to fill some of the story with some of the back, little bit of the flashback of Avengers number 9, of Zemo creating Wonder Man in the first place, along with Executioner and Enchantress here. He was created to destroy the Avengers, but he died punished by Zemo's treachery because he started doubting himself of why he was doing it during the fight. More powerful than any of them at the time, I almost succeeded, but at the last moment, I had a change of heart. So Wonder Man, he questioned why he was, out to destroy the Avengers, and to say that he was, I'm not sure he could take Thor. It's a great fight. But Namor and Thor is a great fight, back in the day. Kind of the Avengers were Giant Man, Iron Man, Captain America. The Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver weren't. They were also recruited to destroy the Avengers as well. They were originally Avengers villains. That happened a lot in Marvel Comics. The villains actually become kind of fan favorites, and then they turned them around. Wonder Man was kind of like that. So he was dead. He goes, died. Are you sure it was death, not some sort of suspended animation? After all, Captain America was frozen in an iceberg. Wiz. I talked to people who were there. Old Simon here was kaput. The Beast is a biochemist, Wizard. He should know. Until the day the living laser woke me from my Zuvimbi state. That is Marvel. The Comics Code Authority was not allowed to say the term zombie. They could say vampire, Dracula, Frankenstein, werewolf, because that was classic literature, but zombies weren't really a thing. There was no classic literature about zombies. So the stupid comic code allowed, in the early 70s, allowed Marvel free to depict the classic universal monsters. And that's why the horror genre, the universal genre, monster genre kind of exploded in the early 70s with Werewolf by Night. They had Tomb of Dracula. They had some great books. But they couldn't refer to zombies as zombies. They had to refer to them. So they made up Zuvimbi to try to get around that. So I've talked about this before in previous issues. So till the day the living laser woke me from my Zuvimbi state, I was a dead man. But how and why I'm alive today, doesn't know. Well, I know. Black Talon resurrected him once again to try to destroy the Avengers with some voodoo shit. Avengers 153. That was in Avengers 152. What I'm referring to. So I love this. I love this where the Avengers are restrained here and stacked like on this wall. Captain America, the possibility exists, but I may be wrong. This is the Vision speaking. And it appears to me that in this sealed room, our slave collars exert a lesser influence. You're right, Vision. I don't feel as angry as I did before. So it's also controlling their emotions, not just, it's not just some sort of power control, but it's making them blind hatred toward Submariner a little bit. Apparently, Atuma's collar fed us with blind fury, a rage which did little to increase our effectiveness as a fighting team. Now, however, I understand, darling. Working together, we can accomplish what none of us can do alone. Cap, if I could get to your shield. I love this as a kid. I thought this was a really cool little sequence. Do that, Wanda, and I'll do the rest. Very well. I must concentrate, focus my energies as never before. And there you see Scarlet Witch like really concentrating, sweating even to try to control Captain America's shield. She can't actually levitate things like they say, I can move objects with my mind. That originally wasn't her powers. Her power was that she could set her mind to something and then kind of indirectly control it through some sort of random chance. By controlling the air currents in the room through my witchery, I can create a powerful wind. Strong in it, but it's unpredictable. Her power was always unpredictable in the comic books. Something was going to happen. Something horrible was going to happen to the villains, but she didn't know exactly what was going to happen. It's chaos magic. Strong enough to dislodge her shield from its place on the table and send it skimming through the room. But my wind's faltering. The shield's falling. Don't worry, Wanda. This is why I practice. I love this. And Cap, even restrained, Cap like catches it barely with his fingers. I've had this shield for more than 30 years, and I've worked with it so long, it's almost as much a part of me as Thor's hammer is a part of him. Still, this is going to be difficult. A little side note about Thor at this time. Thor could hit his hammer on the ground and become his alter ego, his original identity of Dr. Donald Blake. That was still a thing in comic books at this time. He wasn't just an Asgardian. Walt Simonson changed that later in the early 80s. They when he took over Thor, and he kind of did the Frank Miller. He changed Thor into much more of mythology based comic book than just like street level where he's a doctor that discovered this hammer, and he's a doctor that's got a bad leg and he limps around. He uses a cane and he slams his cane on the ground and becomes Thor. They did away with that later and made him just like an Asgardian. But at this time, that was still in play in the Marvel Universe. So that just kind of reminded me of that, him referencing Thor's hammer. Still, this is going to be difficult. Have to flip the shield at precisely the right angle to did it, and he busts the slave collar. And I always question, why couldn't they have just busted the slave collar beforehand? Because I always wondered that as a kid, but you got to remember, they're not being influenced by the slave collar as much in this room, so they are allowed to seek action against the slave collars. They couldn't do that under full control. They weren't capable of smashing the slave collar. I always questioned that, and then I thought about it for a while, and it's like, yeah, I know, get a life. That's the general idea, fella. Now, if you'll make yourself intangible so the rest of us so you can free the rest of us. Vision, I don't believe it. He's flying away. So the Vision apparently has abandoned the Avengers. He's free and he flies away. He doesn't have the slave collar anymore. But the Vision is a logical, more or less a logical being. So maybe there's a good reason for that. I'm not sure. Wanda, I hope to heaven I'm wrong, but I think your husband just abandoned us. And she's just pissed, stunned. The Scarlet Witch is literally speechless, and turning her head aside, she barely stifles a groan of overwhelming rage. Oh, this next panel is so good. It gets cut off. You got to be kidding me. I tried to zoom. They even acknowledge down here, Jerry Conway even acknowledges, this is George Perez full flexing. I mean, whew. We haven't seen the last of the Vision's apparent perfidy, but for the moment, we've seen enough. Now time to focus on the most pivotal character in our drama, Prince Namor the Submariner. Atuma has seen fit to attack the surface world, and though I have no love for my father's people, still Atuma is my enemy and thus my responsibility. Namor isn't fully Atlantean. His father was human, a surface dweller or whatever. And for what he plans to do this day, he will pay a price most dear. Note to Gorgeous George, you really outdid yourself this time, Kimosabi. I love when they do little meta references to, appreciate the artwork turned in by the creators. But that is an amazing panel of Submariner. George Perez even said he passed away last year, sadly enough. But George Perez has even said that, like when he attends panels and conventions, that a lot of his commissions are to do Namor. And I would like to think that because of this issue, this is a classic issue. This storyline is a well-known, comic purists love this run of the Avengers. The Avengers from like 1974 to 1980 are some of the best comic books that Marvel ever produced. I mean, that's just not my opinion. That's over the vast majority of the old classic comic book lovers share that opinion. I mean, there's just some awesome storylines. I'm going to delve into some more storylines during that time period in the future. But I mean, this isn't going to be always about the Avengers. But the Avengers were one of my favorite books, along with Spider-Man and, Hulk and everything growing up. The Avengers was like a must read. Sadly, it fell off a cliff right around 1984. It just plummeted, the quality. So here we go. Now we're referencing Supervillain Team Up number 9. He's talking about his little altercation with the communist fighter jets. I love it. So here we are here. There is a government facility here on the ocean floor. Experiments with said device are already producing dramatic results. This is the weapon, the device that Atuma is after. Incredible. Using the chloro beam, where they come up with this, we can increase the growth of plankton 100-fold. Why, with this machine, the U.S. can triple its food supply, finding a whole new food source here in the sea. This is some government, government agents, scientists, I should say, not agents, but talking here. Government. Gentlemen, it's a miracle. Today we've made history, and tomorrow I shall make war. This is Atuma leading the attack with his Atlantean soldiers. Dear Lord, those who survive their first meeting with me call me Atuma, surface man. You may call me Death. Lord Arno, kill the men and bring the machine to me. As you command, my Lord, so shall it be done. I love evil. I love evil for evil's sake in the comic books. Cretan, they've already escaped you. I guess you can't have them killing people in comic books. But my lord, you should have seen that elevator entrance, Arno, before the humans could move to use it. Now we must follow them like barracuda harrying a school of blowfish. Oh, would an Atlantean warlord speak that way? Possibly. I guess Jerry Conway thought so. Now hurry, Arno, before you cause me greater displeasure. Catch and destroy them. Can't explain, sir. Just shut that door. The airlock's designed to withstand deep ocean pressure. Nothing can break through it, not even... These are the scientists speaking, by the way. You have your orders, Arno. Kill them. I guess they've never dealt with Atlantean warlords before. If you strike quickly, I may forget your previous Poseidon's beard. It isn't possible. The Wizard. No, it's no delusion. It's a man. And not just any man, Chuckles. So the Avengers beat Atuma there. They caught on to Atuma's plan and beat them to the facility. Here's my favorite veteran, the Wizard. I'm doing my overeager best, Wendy. Tough luck Tyrak isn't here, though. I've got something to say to that boy chick, and it won't be pleasant. Now he's big talker when Tyrak's not there. Then say it to me, mutant. Say it to Atuma. Okay, Brain, we will. Hand over your friends or kiss your ugly hide goodbye. I mean, that would knock Atuma. Wonder Man with a full strike. Oh, I love George Perez. Humans like that. We left our Quinjet topside pal, together with the Homer that led us here. Luckily for you, we arrived when we did. But that begs the question. If the Avengers aren't here, then where? Air-breathing mammal, I'll break you. La-di-da-di you, fish face. Say, Wendy, need any help with the head honcho? Have some faith, beast. I love this this little fight here with Atuma, with Wonder Man. They're all stretched out, fighting over Atuma's trident. I may not be top fighting trim after all these years, but I'm as tough as I need to be. Am I ever? Okay, enough waltzing around. Where are our friends, Atuma? And why have you attacked the Sea Lab? Yeah. And what's the big idea of wearing the Vision's cape? I love it. Do you think to interrogate me like some common thief? Dolts, hey, look, some guy's flying this way. Jumpin' Jolly Jehoshaphat. That's the beast. It's the Submariner. Yowzer, does he look steamed? Sure wouldn't want to be wearing your loafers, Atuma boy. If Namor attacks, now I'm finished. This is inner dialogue here from Atuma. If Namor attacks, now I'm finished. But were I to confuse him, the day might still be mine. So Atuma, with his little con here. Come, my friends, our common enemy draws near. Let us have the first blow. Kill Namor now. And Beast is like, huh? So Atuma has found new allies, 2 costume humans and a talking blue ape. They shall be the first to feel the wrath. For today, at last, Namor strikes. Subby, no, we're your So the Submariners blast the Wizard, Wonder Man, and Beast. Wizard and the Beast are both down, stunned. And judging look in Namor's eye, they're dead men unless I do something I'll hate myself for and fight back to win. You're strong, human, powerful, but Namor is far stronger. Wrong, mister. Oh, this next panel on this next page is awesome. Oh, man. Dead wrong. How the Wonder Man just socks him. The human is almost as powerful as the thunder god Thor. Perhaps that's why Atuma chose him for an ally. For it's odd indeed that Atuma has taken any surface man for a cohort. Still, if Atuma's friend, this human be, then he must fall. Stop right there, princeling. Stop it, I say. That's the Wizard. All of this dialogue is internal dialogue by Submariner. He's starting to see something's wrong here. He's starting to doubt what's going on because he knows he's dealing with a Tuma. Namor isn't listening. He's too mad to hear anything, let alone reason. Have to help the wizard before his weak heart starts to, whoa. Atuma's taking a powder. Very interesting, especially since he's stealing one of the C Lab's experimental machines. I gotta get a drink. Oh, what would I do without coffee? Well, here he goes. Well, where he goes, I go. So we have the beast holding his breath and going down to see exactly where Atuma's headed, which is to one of his Atlantean warships. And Submariner's still battling the wizard. You changed far more than your costume, Quicksilver. Why is he calling him Quicksilver? Because he's mistaken him for Quicksilver in his rage. But a little side note is the wizard used to fight alongside the Submariner back in World War II with the Invaders comic book, which depicted, superhero team adventures back from World War II. It's Captain America, sometimes the wizard. They had an English girl named Spitfire, Namor, and the original Human Torch with his sidekick Toro. So he should recognize, even though he probably hasn't seen him for decades. Namor's old. I mean, Namor is, I guess he doesn't age as like normal. He doesn't age like human. Atlanteans don't age like humans. So, he fought alongside the wizard. So he should recognize him. And so he ends up smacking the wizard, backhanding the wizard, finally getting a hold of him. When you joined the Avengers, I thought you were a man reformed, Pietro. Apparently I was wrong. You must have returned to your Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and now you're a renegade. Pietro, Quicksilver, was a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants before coming an Avenger in Avengers 16. And the lowest of the low. Namor's right, I don't have the speed to fight him. And Namor says, hold, for the first time I see you as more than a blur. You're not Quicksilver. Submariner has the wizard cornered. This is Wonder Man speaking here. Submariner has the wizard cornered. He'll kill the speedster unless you're older and your hair is gray, your face weathered with wrinkles. But I know you. You're Robert Frank, the wizard, member of the old Liberty Legion. That's what I was referring to earlier. Namor and the wizard met in Marvel Premiere number 2728. If you're not Quicksilver, not a renegade, and Wonder Man just smokes him with the support pillar that he ripped off. Wonder Man, don't do it. Namor knows the truth. Sorry, wizard. Right or wrong, I'm not taking any chances. Namor goes down. That really wasn't required, Simon. He saw my face, knew who I was. In another moment, you might have been pulped. And at least this way we can do the apologizing. Then we find Atuma. And once we've finished making our explanations, then we find Atuma. Yeah, if we can. So we have an epilogue. Somewhere in the North Pacific. Atuma has escaped, but Beast is a stowaway. Atuma will have triumphed over all. Oh, yes. So we catch Beast there. He had jumped in the water and followed Atuma down. Atuma has stolen that government device that makes plankton grow. Why in the world would Atuma wants that? We'll find out next issue. And here we see Epilogue the second, somewhere on the Hydro base where Doctor Doom is. Vision is phasing through the wall. And he gives an explanation why he abandoned the other Avengers. My friends must be worried by my departure. Yet I had no choice to act as I did. Only I can save them. And to do that, I must make a pact with the devil himself. Good evening, Doctor. I've been looking for you. And you have found me, Vision. And now you'll learn if an android can die. But if I die, so will you, Von Doom. Listen, I have an offer. A heartbeat of silence, then Doom nods. And the Vision begins to explain. And now the Vision's explanation, Atuma's secret plan, and the most climactic battle you've ever seen. Be here for the private war of Doctor Doom. That's where they titled the collection. Like I said earlier, it's Avengers 150 to 156, Avengers Annual 6, and Supervillain Team Up number 9. That's in that hardbound collection. You're going to pay out the nose for it if you order it on Amazon. It's almost $200 in the hardcover that goes through all of these classic issues. But I can bring it to you, I'll bring it to you for $100. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on. Don't miss the earth-shattering conclusion to the 4-part. See, they changed it. They originally referred to it as the 3-part epic. Began in Avengers 154, Avengers 1, continued in Supervillain number 9, Avengers 155. The climactic battle of the century between Earth's mightiest heroes and the most daring villain of all time, Doctor Doom. That isn't entirely accurate. We'll see. I mean, the main villain is still Atuma. One of my all-time favorite covers of comic books here. But sadly, we lose George Perez. Sal Buscema takes over the interiors of this comic book. Now, Sal Buscema is awesome, but he's not George Perez, in my view. But you will see some of the iconic Sal Buscema, kind of his staples of his art as well. There's even a funny Twitter handle called Sal Buscema's Punch. He's known for his epic punch of depicting his epic punch scenes and panels. So another awesome Jack Kirby cover. We even see Vision without the cape. So that's awesome. That's, continuity. That's continuity, even going to the covers. That's not anything you would ever see in today's comic books. Iron Man blasting. Doctor Doom is up on the wall. The Vision is, phasing through the wall here. Captain America is protecting Scarlet Witch. The Shield, Yellow Jacket with his Biosting pistol coming to the side there. It's a battle to the death against the deadly weapons of Doctor Doom. Not 100% accurate of what goes on in the story, but we'll see. A little bit. So here we are. As you can see, it's a different coloring style. You still got Pablo Marcus as the inker, so it's not going to change that much. Pablo Marcus makes everyone look better. Sal Buscema is now, and we have a new writer I forgot to mention. Jerry Conway is not writing this episode. This is finished by Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter, of course, who drew Supervillain Team Up number 9, which I covered, and goes on to become the editor-in-chief at Marvel and really does some great things. But he's a controversial guy. He had a lot of clashes. George Perez was one guy he had a clash with, and that was the reason why George Perez left Marvel and went to DC and did the new Teen Titans in the early 80s. Jim Shooter ruffled a lot of feathers, but he also did a lot of great stuff. To me, he's the best editor-in-chief that Marvel has had. Roy Thomas was good too, but he had a long tenure, as editor-in-chief. But Jim Shooter was also an awesome comic book writer. I guess at the age of 13 or 14, he was sending in stories to DC Comics, and DC Comics, the people at DC Comics had no idea that he was that young. And he would write a story and send it into him, and they would actually use the story. Now, this was in the late 60s, early 70s. He did some stories for Legion of Superheroes at DC. And I guess Jim Shooter said in an interview that they got him on the phone. He had a phone call with him. The editors wanted him to come to the DC office in New York. Jim Shooter was in Pittsburgh. He grew up in Pittsburgh. And they were like, "How old are you?" And he goes, "Let me put my mom on the phone." And I guess Jim Shooter was only 13 years old or 14 years old at the time. And they were like, "Oh, okay." But they were using his stories that he was mailing in. I didn't know you could do that. it was always, I always wanted to write an issue of Marvel comic. I didn't know. I would have sent them one. They probably would have laughed at me and rejected, ripped it up, whatever, burned it. But anyway, let's get on the conclusion of this storyline: the Private War of Doctor Doom. Jim Shooter, Sal Buscema, Pablo Marcus. Jerry Conway is still credited for the plot. So this is all plotted out, but the dialogue is written by Jim Shooter. Good evening, Doctor. I've been looking for you. This is continuation of, obviously, of the last issue. You have found me, Vision, and now you can learn that an android can die. If I die, Doom, so will you. Listen, I have an offer. A heartbeat of silence, then Doom nods, and the Vision begins to explain. No doubt you're wondering why we attacked you, Doctor. Particularly in view of the non-aggression pact established between America and Latveria. Fool, I already know why you assaulted me. Because of the slave collars attached to you by Atuma. If this is all you have to tell me, no, Doom. And he reaccounts Tyrak capturing the Avengers, breaking Iron Man's. He recreates George Perez's cool panel of Tyrak ripping Iron Man's chest plate. I thought that was a cool thing in the flashback. And the Avengers are defeated by Tyrak. And then this is from Supervillain Team Up number 9. And no need to rehash all this. Atuma is moving cautiously, as if he were playing for high stakes indeed. I suspect he has discovered the means to create an army of warriors like Tyrak. So he's going to use that device by the scientists to, he figures if it works on aquatic life to make them stronger, more abundant, then it's going to work on Atlanteans as well and create an army of super soldiers, and then even boost Tyrak even more, which is, Tyrak is already super powerful. I mean, Tyrak, even more enhanced, triple Tyrak would be devastating. It would probably take the Hulk. You can't count on the Hulk. He's his own guy, He's his own, Hulk doesn't care about humanity. Anyway, I'm losing it. Perhaps you would hold out the longest, Doom, but eventually, inevitably, your Latveria would fall to such an army. My kingdom? The world under Atuma's heel? Impossible, yet, come Android. You gotta love Doom, man. Always calculating, always playing chess. Doom's metallic footsteps echo in the stone corridor, several steps behind the Vision's. The Vision matches his pace with silent strides. Though potentially treacherous, Doom is now an ally and perhaps the Avengers' only hope. So the Vision starts reaccounting some of his thoughts, leaving the Scarlet Witch behind, emotion, something alien to the synthezoid mind. His brainwave patterns are Simon Williams. So whatever kind of emotions Simon Williams ever has, or his doubts and insecurities, kind of got transferred over to the Vision as well. For the 1,000th time in recent weeks, he thinks Simon Williams, a man died long ago, whose brain patterns were imprinted on the blank state of his man-made mind. So, that's kind of why they call him a synthezoid, because he has human brainwave patterns. Simon Williams, Wonder Man, a man who at the moment is mysteriously alive. Submariner's waking up, Whizzer. This is great coming up here. Maryland Offshore Oceanographic Research Center, moments ago, a battleground. So here they are kind of explaining what happened and having a little, they call me Wonder Man, Namor. I want to help. Sorry, your strength will be of great value to us. Namor doesn't mince for words. He's not like, he's not a wishy-washy character at all. But where's the Beast? He disappeared. I fear your fur-covered companion is lost, Wonder Man. During the battle, I saw him go over the side in pursuit of Atuma. He never resurfaced. The Beast is dead? I can't believe it. Maybe he was taken captive. let's get going. Well, we know the beast is stowaway, hitching a ride, seeing what's going on with Atuma. And this is great. I'm in Charlie Tuna's command. They finally see that Beast is trying to contact them through the Quinjet, like a link. Now, where the Beast put this little communication device on his body, okay, we can ignore that little plot hole there. I'm in Charlie Tuna's command ship. How did I get in? Very carefully. And he's whispering here. Glad to hear you're on our side now, subby. We'll need you. Scalehead is headed for home base. You guys follow the homing signal and be ready to attack. I'll stay out of sight and signal you at the best moment. Propitious moment. These Jim Shooter. Okay, maybe the Avengers Atuma capture are being held at his home base. Perhaps. And if so, we shall free them or die trying. I caution you, however. If they have long been Atuma's captives, there may be little left of them to rescue. He's referring to the Avengers, of course. So Doctor Doom has made a truce now with the Avengers, freeing the Avengers from the slave collars. Free at last. Great feeling, huh, Iron Man? Yes, of course. But I'd feel a lot better if my armor were in full fighting trim. Hope I can re-weld it with my laser and get full charge before we attack Atuma. Darling, I was so worried after you took off. I mean, you left so suddenly I thought you presumed that I deserted in fear. It seemed obvious that we needed an ally. I acquired one. The Vision with his logical with his logic here. Perhaps you have forgotten that I am a perfectly logical synthezoid. I could do nothing else. So, oh, Jan, why is he suddenly so cold? We've been through a lot of strain lately, Wanda. I thought the Vision sorted out his identity problems a long time ago, before he and the Scarlet Witch were married. Looks like he's going through it again. Yeah, the Vision is bothered, an ongoing little story arc here, kind of behind this, kind of a little side story thing that in some later issues kind of comes to a front is the Vision is really bothered by Wonder Man coming back. And then Wonder Man starts flirting with the Scarlet Witch a little bit. And the Scarlet Witch is thinking, oh, maybe I married the wrong. I mean, she's not really thinking that, but she's not really like, shunning Wonder Man. She's accepting the flirtation. They start spending a lot of time together, and there's a battle. Wonder Man and Vision have at it in one comic book that is penciled by Sal Buscema, actually. It's actually the next comic. It's actually the next issue after this, which I'm not going to go over. So here we go. They're going into the Atlantean, Atuma's Atlantean base. Guess we got wherever we're going, the Beast says. Better not dilly-dally about giving the signal. Don't know how much longer I can keep from being spotted. A spy, I've caught a spy. So the Vision is enough you prattling ape, and they beat the Beast down. He's unconscious. So they've reached the Atuma's base. Subby, where are you doing? What I must. I will wait no longer. He wants to seek his vengeance on Atuma. He dives in the water. You going too, Wonder Man? They'll need me, especially if Namor has tipped our hand early. So he jumps in. He puts on a respirator, and then he jumps in. Hold the fort, Wizard. I'll stay in radio communication. Just why, I don't know. With his bad heart, he's in no condition to be here, let alone rescue me if I get in trouble. I'm not even sure what I'm doing here, or even how it is I'm alive. There's Subby, but he doesn't see me, and I can't catch up to him. So Submariner, next panel, you see Submariner get ambushed by Tyrak. We haven't seen Tyrak in a while in real time. Oh no, Tyrak is inside that dome. He's ambushed Namor. What's that ray focused on him? I've been waiting for this, Tyrak says. Subby's had it. Tyrak looks even bigger and stronger than the Beast said he was. Wait, that ray. It's the gadget Atuma stole from the Ocean Lab. Somehow it increases Tyrak's power. So this was Atuma's plan all along. Maybe that's Atuma's plan. Maybe I should just read. To turn Tyrak into a giant, ultra-powerful one-man army. And the Beast, they've got him. Things are looking bad here for the Avengers. At last, Namor lies helpless at my feet. So Tyrak just knocked Submariner out. That takes a lot. Within minutes, you'll be ready for another dose of this modified cell stimulator, then another. Already you are the mightiest single being on Earth. I don't know about that. The Hulk and Thor might have some issues with that. Definitely the Hulk. Your power will be unimaginable. Wizard, did you pick that up? Got to do something now. It's all up to me. No one else left. Wonder Man always has self-doubts, even though he's ultra powerful. It's the same old storyline with Simon Williams. They always made him doubt himself. I'm scared, Wiz. Not for me. I'm afraid I'll blow it. I don't know what to do. Wonder Man, hold it. There's something on the radar. A ship approaching at impossible speed. It's here already. I see it, but it's the Avengers and Doctor Doom, but we'll tell you later, Wiz. Right now we have some avenging to do. So Doctor Doom and the Avengers are going under, and they're going to confront Tyrak. Or they don't know Tyrak, but they're after Atuma. We are attacked. Signal all defense units. Alert the master. And here come the Avengers in. Charge. Let's get them. Snipers at 1 o'clock. Look out. Fire, fool. Kill them. No way, Finbrain. Now, as you can see, Buscema depicts the repulsor blast much different than like George Perez does. The dome is air-filled. Probably house equipment too sensitive to withstand seawater. And that gives us the edge. Nice work, Shellhead. Your repulsors are almost as good as my shield, and no, I won't trade. And you see them shooting each other. I love this dialogue here from the Vision. Fools, I have only to decrease my body density to allow you to fire harmlessly through me and eliminate each other. My power is limited to my injured arm. Scarlet Witch here. But it's enough to put these guards to flight. Use your sting at full power. These guys are tough. Yellowjacket and the Wasp are in the fight. We've got them on the run, Cap, Vision, look out. Tyrak. Much bigger. But bigger. Much bigger. And stronger, puny one. Stronger than all of you. So he blasts the Avengers here. That is classic Buscema panel there at the bottom with Tyrak just swatting, using both arms, full extension, swatting the Avengers. The Avengers go flying, and that's going to knock Captain America. It should knock Captain America out. Meanwhile, there's Wonder Man hadn't joined the battle yet. They need me. Luckily, I followed them. I thought they might need my help, or maybe I was hoping they would. Wonder Man, and he jumps up and slams Tyrak, who's probably not twice the size he was, but close. He's probably like 9-10 feet tall now. Can't let Tyrak recover. Mustn't waste the break. Avengers attack. Half a hex is better than none, and then you've got all of the Avengers just piling on Tyrak, and then Captain America smokes him in his goggles with his shield. Maybe Tyrak's not quite as powerful as Atuma. He's not at the stage where he's quite as powerful as Atuma was boasting. Tyrak staggers, stunned and confused by the hail of blows as two mighty figures approach. The Vision, his body diamond hard, his strength increased to its unbelievable ultimate. Yeah, Vision's strength goes up when he alters his density, increases his density, his mass and his strength are enhanced. and Wonder Man his steel smashing might focus for a final effort. They don't write comic books like this anymore. Now it's them sitting around fucking latte bars, fucking talking about how, talking about their own social issues. And God, build me a fucking time machine. All right. The crap they spew out today. This is how you write a comic book. And Wonder Man is steel smashing might focus for a final effort. I mean, this is supposed to be this is heroic shit. Steel smashing might. Now they don't refer to it. Now it's, I was on. They actually had. Don't get off on this. I seen recently a current comic book where the hero is sitting in a coffee shop, like a latte bar, a Starbucks, whatever, and talking about social media and about how terrible people are on social media. These guys are saving the fucking world with steel smashing might and diamond hard strength increased to an unbelievable ultimate level. Fighting epic villains. They advance as one, and you'll see Sal Buscema here. Classic Sal Buscema visualization of two heroes acting in unison. Just they strike as one. Their fist is tightly synchronized as a guy, and is as if guided by the same mind. They kind of are, and just smokes Tyrak. Blam. When I eventually, I hope I can eventually make it happen. If I ever can get my comic book produced, it's hearkening back to this stuff. Bam. I mean, this is good shit. We did it. He's down. Vision's like, I mean, Vision, Vision doesn't want to give Wonder Man all the credit. He doesn't want to give Wonder Man any credit. There's some tension between Wonder Man and Vision and Wonder Man, mostly coming from Vision's part. He feels threatened that Wonder Man exists and has been resurrected since they share the same brain patterns. Nice work. Now let's find Atuma. There he is, but look, somebody nastier than us already found him. Look, there's the beast and Namor too. Atuma, I have waited for this moment. First, you will tell me what transpired here. Dr. Doom stole a cell stimulator. Gone. Don't hit me. Now he's groveling. In the club. Give me back my cape. Enough. My cape. You shall not wear it another second. Now crawl away from me, worm, before I love the Vision talking this way. He's so angry, and it's more than Atuma. Let's get a move on, gang. I'll help the beast. I don't think Doom took that gadget to do the world any good. Could it be a showdown with Doom? Maybe. I already loved the showdown with Tyrak. That was awesome. You made it. Doom surfaced minutes ago and hightailed it. We must not waste a moment, Wizard. We must pursue Doom at once. And then Atuma was kind of feigning the weakness, feigning cowardice there. There will be Avengers blood spilled across the sea. Yet my missiles will. Submariner, you are finished. Namor grabs Atuma's hand before he can hit the button of the missiles. The Avengers showed you mercy, and you would repay them with death, Namor. And so the avenging sun will spare you not. And that's another classic Sal Buscema panel of the extended. There's even I don't know if I said this earlier. There's even a Twitter handle called Sal Buscema's Punch. That's what he's known for. And Sal Buscema was a workhorse for Marvel in the 70s, 80s. He's still going strong. I mean, he's still doing like independent creator stuff. working for like independent writers. I'm not 100% sure. I think he's still freelance, but of course he's the younger, less heralded brother of John Buscema, who was like Jack, one of the Jack Kirby proteges, one of the legendary Marvel comic book classic artists from the Silver Age. Sal Buscema never really stacked up in the minds of most of the comic book fans as his older brother John, who's passed. I mean, John Buscema they have a book called How to Draw Comic Books the Marvel Way, and John Buscema is the artist of that tutorial book. They even have videos with him and Stan Lee, like a tutorial video that you can see it on YouTube, I believe. But getting sidetracked. Namor slugs Atuma, knocks him silly. Doom is running down the corridor. He smacks the Atlanteans away. I'll spare you this time. The U.S. government scientists who invented this device did so by accident. They did not comprehend the potential of its cell-stimulating rays. I am losing my voice. Much less the principle behind them. But I shall dismantle the machine to analyze it, discover its secrets. Dr. Doom. And rule the world. I love the Beast. They always have the Beast say something coming into the scene. Something, to break the pacing a little bit. And rule the world. Hey, Doomsy. Was that you I saw on the Late Show last night? Shut up and hit him, Beast. That's what Iron Man says. Shut up and hit him. You bet, Iron Man. Vain fool, overconfident in your own speed and underestimate mine. Wanda, down. Another classic Sal Buscema Captain America. He had an extended run on Captain America in the 70s. Some really good Captain America issues I hope to go over someday, where he depicts depicts Captain America defending him like a laser blast or something, explosion with his shield like that. Wanda, down. Blast, we've lost the advantage of surprise, thanks to the Beast. Smart ass. We may be in for the fight of our lives. I defeated you last time you dared attack me. This time shall be no different. Safe behind my force field, I will pick you off one by one. Repulsors can't even dent that field. Gotta think of something quick before Doom takes them all out. Doom's withering attack begins, and the Avengers, exhausted from their previous battle, fall back, all but one. His dematerialized hand reaches through the steel shell of the stimulator. 2.5 hours. And its sensitive security is disrupted by his semi-solid fingers until, bam, he explodes the device. The machine destroyed. That will cost you your inhuman existence, android. Doom will live to see you uncreated. Oh, man. Jim Shooter writing Dr. Doom. Oh, man, that's good. All of you shall know your vengeance. All of you shall know Doom's vengeance. Ugh. But I will choose the time and place. He's getting away. Doom's no fool. With the machine gone, there was no reason to continue the fight here. Yes, and I'm afraid it's far from over. Like I said, Dr. Doom's playing chess. The sudden calm after the turmoil and tension of recent days is momentarily unreal, and it is with some difficulty the reunited heroes wind down, all but two. Vision, please talk to me. Please tell me what's wrong. I wish to be alone. I can't get through to him. I only seem to make him feel worse. A beautiful lady like you, never. See, there you go. There's Wonder Man already starting the flirtation, which continues big time in the next issue. Because I always thought as a kid reading this, I was like, oh, there's something going on between these two. Right here, Wonder Man just stepped out for a minute. Hey, he said, where'd Captain America go? To find out the mysterious something, check out Supervillain Team Up number 11. Now they're always trying to cross-promote their books, which was Doctor Doom and the Red Skull continued kind of storyline in Supervillain Team Up. after supervillain team up number 9. Something wrong? For the moment, 9 of the Earth's mightiest beings on Earth stand silent, pondering matters beyond their strength. Next, the Ghost of Stone. So that wraps up the story of the Private War of Doctor Doom, which was actually the only title of this issue, 156. But man, this was one of the storylines. You got to remember, when I'm a kid, I'm reading this over months and months. Now you can binge it all at once. It might have not had that effect on me, but as a kid, I couldn't wait. I mean, I was always couldn't wait to go to the grocery store, try to find the next issue and continue the story. Because these stories, to a 7-8-year-old kid, which I was at the time, these stories were much more epic than it seems when you just go over them. You just go over them all at once. The cliffhanger. I miss those days. I'm not overly fond of the fact that you can binge everything and just the anticipation of the next issue was always one of the things that drew me to comic books as a kid. So, but this was one of my all-time favorite storylines, and it really got me going where I wanted to just expand my knowledge of the Marvel Universe. I wanted to start buying other issues of other characters and really expand it. The Avengers, the writing, the artwork, just some of the best stuff Marvel's ever produced at this time period. And it just went on and got better and better when they had David Michelinie, Jim Shooter continued on, and George Perez and John Byrne were kind of swapping back and forth as the artist. Every once in a while, they'd have a fill-in that kind of was a letdown. But when the tag teaming art of Perez and John Byrne for a few years in this period of the Avengers, you can't do any better than that. I mean, you're talking about some great stuff. So, that's my. I'm going to wrap it up there. That's my Private War of Doctor Doom. My little coverage. I went way longer than I thought I was going to. 2.5 hours. I was trying to keep this under 2 hours. I start babbling on and geeking out on some of this stuff. It's kind of hard to keep the time down on the episode, but like I said, I'm going to be uploading audio version to Spotify. This is episode 9. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm also going to have a video version, probably somewhere on my YouTube channel or something. If you want to call it it's on YouTube, but it's not really a channel. It's just kind of me uploading random, stuff that I like. So, this is one way to pass the time for me. I can go back and read these classic episodes all day long. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll just go and revisit all these epic storylines. I think for the next episode, I'm going to continue with a video format and do another video episode. Probably put it on Twitch as well. And I know the issues that I'm going to cover. I've already thought about it a little bit. We're going to be jumping to some Chris Claremont, John Byrne stuff from 1977. Yes, following year of this. But you're probably thinking, Chris Claremont, John Byrne, that's X-Men. That's not the case. Something different than the X-Men. So anyway, thanks for whoever did tune in for a little bit in the chat. Thanks for watching however long you watched. And I'll probably be posting the video in Discord as well. So I am out of here. Thanks for tuning in if you did. Thank you.